guys, we're doing another Mustang pickup. We're getting 3 Mustangs for me and 1 for Franny. So let's check it out and see how it all goes.
We're going to take a look at some of the horses and show you guys how they were staying as well as sorting them out. First up, we have my bay mare, which is this cutie here, and she is standing kind of close to the people, which tells me that she's going to be a little bit quieter and probably the easier one to work with, compared to my dark bay mare, who is hiding all the way in the back. She is like as far away as possible as she can get. So that tells me that she's going to be more of a skittish horse to work with. And then I also have a gelding, a 4-year-old gelding, and then Franny's getting a mare, which is a nice big mare. And so to start with, it's kind of this sorting process of trying to move the horses into the aisleway calmly and trying to sort them out so that way they go into the different pens. So they're putting these 2 mares into this bigger pen here as they were getting Franny's horse sorted out. And so it's kind of this process of like, here they've got these 3 horses there. That's Franny's in the middle of those 3 horses. And so they have to essentially try to work it out so that way they can get them separated, gates open, gates closed, and depending on which horse gets separated, where they open gates to put them into different spaces. So that's Franny's horse is, I believe, the one on the right side, and they're trying to get them separated out so that way they can get them sorted, as well as getting my gelding sorted out. And so here you can see she's coming forward and she wants to just put them in the pen there, and you can see they get out of the way because, you know, they don't want to get hurt in the process. And here she's gonna come down and try to calmly sort that situation out. And what's happening down there is the horses are getting really scared because they can see a lot going on and they don't have the comfort of the herd. And so they end up changing that in a minute, where they'll put some black shade fabric to try to make the horses feel a little bit more safe from not being able to see so much over the rails, because it's really intimidating when you're wild Mustang, all this stuff going on. So now they've got the shade fabric up, the black fabric over the round pen panels, and they're trying to move the horses back into that area, that kind of pen area. So the horses are backing up a little here, which is pretty good. And they're trying to get them just into that little area there, and there's hay in there, so they're doing the best that they can to try to make it an inviting space for them to go. And it's hard because the horses don't really know where they're supposed to go. So there's a lot of waiting and being calm and trying to just position yourself such that the horses will go where you want them to go. And then here you can see the horses go into the pen, which is great. And then what she wants to do here is get the one horse to leave, and then they want to hold this other horse back because they want to get the gate shut on Franny's horse. And so this mare is not part of that other horse, so now they've got that separated off. So they just use the flag to try to keep the horse there. And so now Franny's horse is separated, that other horse would have moved back, and now it's the really difficult part of trying to sort my mares out of this really big herd of horses. And I get super impressed with how this actually ends up happening here. So it's really hard because the horses all kind of move like a school of fish. They all just kind of move around together. And you can see the handler that's in there. She's doing a really good job of keeping her body language really quiet. She's trying not to get the horses ridiculously scared or worked up or anything. She's trying to divide them a little bit so that way they're at least into 2 different herds, so she can move a bunch of the horses that we need to sort into a smaller space and divide them out, because when there's this many horses, like, it's virtually impossible to just cut out the one horse that you want. So you end up moving a bunch of them, and then you try to just kind of release one at a time or a group at a time until you can get the horse that you want. So this is kind of cool here, as she's just kind of allowing the horses to move. She can see my bay horse that she wants, and you can see she's being really quiet. She's trying to encourage a little bit of movement, some of those horses to sort out and move. And the horses are like, no, like, we're going to come back to the other horses. So she's going to try again and just being really, really calm. It's not like she's in there shaking that flag a whole lot, and the horses are trying to figure out what's going on. But you can see this is also the reason why I don't start training my Mustangs with a flag. They see the flag as something that they're supposed to move away from, so it doesn't make sense to have that be the thing that you try to touch your horse with. So I'll either do touching with my hand first, or I'll do touching with a stick that doesn't have a flag on the end, so that way they don't associate it with it being something that they're supposed to move from and be a little bit intimidated by. But you can see she's moving so quietly, so carefully. The horses like looking and trying. Of course, my bay mare is really cautious and kind of staying completely away. And then what ends up happening is a bunch of the horses end up going into the aisleway. So success there. She's managed to divide the herd kind of in half. And so now that she's got half of the herd separated out, now she's trying to get my horses into the aisleway, because then it's much easier to sort the horses in a smaller amount of horses. So like that chestnut is not one of my horses. We're looking to get the dark bay mare that's basically not about this whole experience, does not want to go, which is totally understandable. It's really, really scary and intimidating. And I think the whole process ended up taking about an hour to get the horses sorted out. And so she's trying to get that bay mare out of there. And so see, we have this kind of situation now. We've got some horses in the aisleway. We've managed to sort out horses that we don't want. And so now that we've got both of my horses in the aisleway, we can release these horses into the big space again. And so now these guys are all sorted out. We don't want any of those horses, so they're back into the big pen. And then now we can open up the space so that way we have space to now sort from the aisleway to try to get my horses up into this space here. So this is my dark bay mare. So she finally is sorted out there, and that gate is going to get shut. So now she's stuck in there. And while this is happening, the other horses that were in the aisleway are getting returned to that big field, or it's not really a field, but the big pen with all of the other Mustangs. So they're getting returned into that space. And then we've been sorting the horses into the first pen where Franny's got sorted into, and then my gelding. So she'll be then mixed in with those guys. So they'll get to say hello to each other in a pen first before they get put onto the trailer. And I'll show you guys that process as well. So from observing her, I can see that she's a little bit flighty, she's worried, which is totally understandable, but she also tends to move around a lot. So she's the type of horse that tends to flight rather than freeze, which is going to affect how I train her. I'll have to make sure that I adjust to make sure that I'm meeting what she needs from me. But you can see she's definitely, spooky and flighty. And as soon as that gate was open, she took the first opportunity to get out of there. But then she's scared by the person up on the rails there. So now she's in the pen with my other horses. So they got to say hello, and I was really happy that they were all quiet in there. Now they're getting pushed out to go on the trailer. But I was really happy to see that they were really quiet in that pen. Nobody was trying to kick each other. It seemed to go really, really well. And that's always nice to have because they're going to be getting on the trailer together. So now it's a matter of pushing them down the aisleway through this chute, which helps get them lined up straight so they don't get hurt going onto the trailer. And then there's a bit of a space on the other side for the trailer, and then getting the door shut essentially. So the trailer's backed up to the line of the chute, and you can see there's one of the bays. I'm not entirely sure which one that is, but it's kind of not getting on the trailer right now. So just trying to use the flags to encourage them to go in. They just need to get it all kind of figured out which way to go. So just using the flags to shoo them into the trailer. and then getting that door shut so that way they can get carried on the way home, which is a pretty intense process for them. I know it's a little bit scary, so we try to use as calm energy as possible. They've got hay in the trailer, and it's not a super long drive. These horses were picked up from Pennsylvania, so it wasn't that far of a drive to come home, and they've got airflow with the windows there. They've got their friends, they've got the drop-down windows, and they've got lots of space in there. We ended up getting home super late at night, so we used flashlights to get them off the trailer so they could see where they're going, and we're really excited to get working with them. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll update you soon.